Aliar, who will be talking on unifying force. To mention about our professor, Senior Professor Balachandran Sir holds a master degree in statistics and has a diploma in educational planning from University of London, UK. He was a member of the Indian Statistical Service, a technical wing of the Indian Civil Service, and has served in the Federal Ministries of Planning, Agriculture, and Human Resource Development in India and in the Ministry of Health abroad. He took voluntary retirement from the government service as joint director in the year 2000 and joined the ashram with his wife for full-time spiritual service. G. Balachandran sir is a senior professor of the World Community Service Center. He is associated with the organization for about 30 years. He has been serving the organization full-time on voluntary basis since the year 2000, working directly with the founder, Tattvagnani Vedatri Maharishi, our Guruji. He worked as a joint secretary of the World Community Service Center and as a director of extension for other states of India other than Tamil Nadu and foreign countries known as OSFC. He has been teaching the system at the main Aliar Ashram as well as in other parts of India and abroad, covering 20 countries across the globe, including the Middle East, Far East, Europe, and North America. Sir is an ardent follower of Vedatriya. We have such an eminent personality with us tonight. Now I request our Professor Balachandran sir to conduct this session on the topic Unifying Force. Be blessed by the divine. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for this kind introduction. May the whole world enjoy prosperity, happiness, and peace. May the whole world enjoy prosperity, happiness, and peace. May we all be blessed with good health, long life, prosperity, wisdom, and peace. Dear fellow travelers in the journey of consciousness from all parts of the world, it's a great honor to be speaking on behalf of the Aliar Temple of Consciousness. I am humbled by this. And the topic given is unifying force. Maharishi has been talking about the unified force, about which most of us are familiar, which all the scientists, all the religious leaders have been looking for. What is that one force, from which is the source for all forces, which is the beginning for everything, and everything merges into it. And Maharishi, by a beautiful book called Unified Force, and then he beautifully translates into Brahmajnana. He calls it as Brahmajnanam in Tamil, Unified Force, because the scientists will be understanding that. The English version is called Unified Force. So there he talks about that one force, which defines it as gravity. And he also talks about its consciousness. And one of for the scientific conferences, he wrote a small booklet, and the title is Gravity of Gravity and Conscientious Consciousness. A tongue twister or a brain twister. What is this gravity of gravity? So scientists have been talking about gravity right from Galileo's or Copernicus times, the last 500 years. But they talked about gravity as an attractive force between objects. Swamiji comes out diametrically opposite definition he gives. Gravity is not a force between the objects, but gravity is the self-compressive force of space. I mean, when people hear it, even the scientists are spaced out. They're not able to appreciate this. That is why he says the gravity of gravity has not been understood. It's being taken very lightly. And then he talks about conscientious consciousness. That is, there is a consciousness But that is conscientious. That love and compassion is a part of that, though it doesn't have feelings as we all have. But there's an inbuilt consciousness in that, which is conscientious. And this outstanding idea, people are not still able to accept it. And because we have not been able to understand it, appreciate it, and because we are not putting it into practice, even intellectually, sometimes we may maybe think, yes, we are getting it, but we are not able to apply it in our daily life. And this tragedy has resulted in so many tragedies. We take any field now of human endeavor, everywhere there are problems. Though we say that we are the only species which has got sixth sense by which we'll be able to infer everything, and with constant advancement in science, we are able to discover newer and newer things. Newer and new laws are being propounded and proved. Yet with all that, in every field, we find that there are bottlenecks, there are problems. The unified force has unfortunately been used for divisive force. The very same force is used for division, confusion, creating problems instead of solving it. Let us just take an example from various fields. Science, about which we're all very proud of. We should be, but still we find that our present science is still at a very nascent stage. It's just about 400, 500 years old. And so, even about the gravity, there are so many different concepts. Einstein talks about space also having a role in gravity, and other scientists are yet to accept it. And because of this confusion, and about consciousness, very little is known in science. And because we don't understand what is consciousness and its beautiful property of love and compassion, the very same science is used for war, is used for divisiveness. In spite of our life becoming very, very easy because of science, every day newer and newer things are being created. But the very same science is able to totally shatter. The Second World War saw so much of devastation. In Third World War, we don't know what's going to happen. The entire Earth will be demolished. That is the amount of power science has given, and we are misusing it. Internet, so beautiful. Today we are able to sit across the world in our own rooms, and we are able to share our thoughts. But is internet being used for a positive purpose? Maybe Alia is using it, maybe World Community Service Center is using it, and some more organizations are using it. But for most of it, it is for profane things, that which brings human beings into levels of animals or even beyond that, go below that also. In science, there are so many bottlenecks, whether it's a Big Bang theory, whether it is string theory. And when we go to the smallest particles, we don't know which is the smallest particle. Almost tending to zero, but we are not there. Similarly, we are almost tending to infinity. It is not, but we don't know. So the singularity at either level is not understood because we have not understood that single force, which Swamiji keeps talking about. So this has created enough problems. So instead of science being used for positive purpose, it's being used for negative purposes. So that is as far as science is concerned. In the case of religions, which came about only for the betterment of society. Each religion, as Swamiji says, started by a person who is extremely kind, extremely wise. And he wanted to bring about a change in the society so that there is harmony. But now, in the very same name of religions, we are killing each other, we are fighting with each other. And one religion has divided into any number of sects, groups, and competition and disbelief in one group and the other. And science and religions are so apart. They don't seem to meet each other. They don't have much in commonality. In economics, again, science has helped us. A tremendous explosion of knowledge and in so many articles. We never knew that we could sit down and talk like this even a few decades back, or a GPS can be used. Such is a tremendous progress. So we are able to produce things by a single instrument what hundreds of people could not be doing earlier. So this should have brought about so economic revolution. We should be all having houses, cars, everyone having it. But is it happening in the economic field? We find the disparity increasing. We talk about the Forbes rich people, the top 10 rich people, it seems they have an asset which is more than the 50% of the population. On the one hand, extremely poor people, unemployed, invalid, not able to take care of themselves. That is on the one hand. On the other hand, they want to go to, for pleasure, they want to go to moon. Now, plans are way ahead. So why economics is not bringing us together? Like this, and the social fields, women are doing so much for us. Are we treating them properly? Education, which can transform us. So much of disparity in the field of education. A rich man can spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees for his children's education. But on the other hand, there are people who are not able to go to school at all. So when there's so much of disparity in education, how can we think of all people raising above poverty level or sharing the knowledge, sharing the benefits of the knowledge? So what is their unified force is not able to do for us? So that is where, in fact, if you see our scriptures, every scripture talks about that whenever injustice has reached a limit, the zenith, and good people are affected, then the divinity itself takes some human form, avatars. They come down and then they give us a new way. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir or paritranaya sadhunam in Bhagavad Gita. So can be quoted in every religion. So today, that is exactly what is happening. The world is at a point where a bit of tilt could totally destroy us. Political people becoming so powerful. Economic people are so powerful and so much of competition. And any small clash can totally destroy us. Only thing is we keep our eyes closed. We don't want to see that. So it is at such times that the unified force produces a person who can unify. So that unifying force is important. And that is exactly what Vedadri Maharshi is. The unified force doesn't have a mouth. It won't be able to communicate. Its only language is silence. So it has to have somebody who will be able to speak our language, who will be able to have the same feelings, express it, and then take us along. And that unifying force is Vedadri Maharshi. We don't have to think of it because he's our guru. It is in fact the fact. We'll just see that for a few minutes now. Though he has studied only up to class 3, because of his questioning nature, he was able to find answers to questions the science is still not able to fathom. They are trying to find out the smallest particle. He says you can't do it by equipments because equipment has to be subtler than that. You have to stand under, then only you can understand his famous statement. So to the smallest particle, instruments cannot measure it. But today science has got that limitation that unless you prove it by experiment, you will not accept it. But he says there are things to which instruments cannot be reaching. So that smallest particle, Swamiji calls this formative dust. It is only by intuition. It is only by what do you call inference, by deduction, we will be able to reach that. And Maharishi, by reaching that frequency of that unified force, from which all these things have come, once you reach that, that is the lowest point from which you can see everything else. So he's standing under all of them on mass alive or now, is reaching that. So then he is able to visualize, as it were, what is that smallest particle? It's a wave or a particle. There are so many discussions. He says, yes, the wave produced itself becomes a particle. So this he was able to say even 30 years back. Similarly, that from which everything has started, infinity, that again, you cannot reach there. There's no number which can reach infinity. And because Swamiji has reached that infinity level as well, by reaching the total consciousness, he is able to visualize that. And that is why he is able to say that is gravity. It's a self-compressive force and has got that conscientious consciousness. It's a providence, provides for everything. So it is this, if this is understood by scientists, and in fact he says that scientists can easily reach up to that because already in the theta level, because of their expertise in a particular field, using concentration to a great level, just a bit more. By learning meditation, they'll be very easily able to reach that stage. So if science can come out of this border, this paradigm, that everything has to be experimented, you can reach that. So that is Swamiji's greatest contribution to science. Then the concept of magnetism, universal biomagnetism, they're also path-breaking concepts, but scientists are still not able to come to that. He has taken about 20 years, he has been going abroad, teaching this. Still, there is a gap between scientists and what Maharishi is saying. And to that extent, we are having problems. And because science does not talk about consciousness, that very same science is used for destructive purpose. So that's as far as science is concerned. In the field of religion, now that's again a great divisive force. Wars have been fought in the name of religions, but Swamiji is able to unify them. He is a unifying force for all the religions. He says all the religions have only two things in common, two things only. One is worship of God, other is harmony in society, virtuous way of living. As far as harmony in virtuous way of living is concerned, there's no difference at all between religions. The only problem is what is that God? Worship of God, what is that God? So Swamiji is able to come to that stage where that God has to be unified force. So he is able to link all the religions. He is able to bind them. He is able to unify them. And he calls it as a religion is called the world order of holistic unity or karma yoga. So he is able to unify all the religions without they feeling bad at all. It's not that you're leaving a religion and joining it. The basic religion, you're reaching that. And so everything is a subsect brought out in different circumstances depending on the levels of understanding of the people and the environment around. So that is why what they're talking about appears to be different, that's all. But once Swamiji's understanding, Swamiji's concept is understood, they'll find commonality in all religions and between religions and within religions. Further, between science and religion itself, he is able to connect it. He says, what you call it as God is what the unified force is. So at once, science and religions, science and spirituality is a unifying force again, which is exactly, they say, what Einstein wanted. And he says, without that, without one or the other, one is blind, the other is lame. So he is able to unify them. In the field of economics, he is able to connect the good, link the good points of communism, capitalism, socialism. And he is able to find out exactly what are the pitfalls in economics. He says A human being is an individual. So individual rights, individual should be treated as individual, but at the same time, individual is a product of society, constantly being uh, provided for by the society. So he is not totally independent, but at the same time, he is not subservient to society. Individual freedom should be there, individual rights should be there, and he should be able to find his own answers to questions, as Swamiji found out. So he calls it altruism, that is, economics or politics in tune with, in harmony with truth, altruism. Again, a wonderful concept. So he says private property is not required, but in fact, every individual is a part of the society. So the human being should become the common property, not the properties belonging to the state. Today's communism is more of dictatorship. Similarly, capitalism is there is a need for having some amount of competition. But today it has gone to such an extreme case that creativity is lost. The big man is able to take over the small fish, as it were. That's why they're becoming bigger and bigger. In fact, capitalism is able to stop the creativity of others because of the power they have. So the altruism will be a beautiful unifying force there. Even in and everywhere, he finds out what are the limitations of the so-called groups in capitalism. In democracy, what's the problem? He says that it should not be a democracy should here now right now. Democracy, we talk about two parties or three parties. He said party should not be there. Individual has to be elected based on his idea, his individuality. And they should sit together, and he should be a wise man. He should have had a good background. It is only such people should come to power. Today's opposition party is meant only to oppose, even if it's a good concept of ruling party. So that is not the role of opposition party. It should be a supporting party and only criticize when the ruling party goes wrong. But now we are looking in terms of parties only. So individuality is not there. Individual opinion does not count. So he says that today's religious leaders, economic leaders, and scientists or politicians, they're representing certain groups, so they cannot bring about a big change. A religious leader has limitations within that religion. He is being paid for, he is working for that. So he cannot be totally neutral. So is the case with politicians. So that is where a unifying force is required. So we need an organization which is not belonging to any political party, which is not belonging to any religion. It is not belonging to any particular economic policies. So only such people can be the unifying force which is represented by Swamiji. And that is why he started the organization called World Community Service Center. See the unifying word here. After all, India got freedom at that time in 1958. We should have thought of India. No, he didn't do that. Because he says any division, any artificial division in the name of land, in the name of religion, etc., will be a divisive force. So he is able to look at the whole world as one. It is this consciousness all of us have to develop. Otherwise, just economic progress, scientific progress, material progress alone is not enough. In fact, they will become even more dangerous. So again, the temple of consciousness. So that is what is to be understood. So it doesn't have a form, it doesn't have any scriptures of any particular religion, but all of us can reach that, which was a dream of Vivekananda. So Vedadri Maharishi, in the field of social fields, so much of disparities are there between the rich and the poor, between the haves and the have-nots, between the highly educated and uneducated. between one group of laborers and other capitalists. Everywhere we see division. Swamiji is providing again a unifying force. He says private property or money need not be there. It may appear as a communist concept, only it is when you look at it in a very, very shallow way. The more we think of what all he has got, he has told, you will find that that is the solution. But it won't be accepted immediately because it's quite different from our conventional ideas. We have been schooled in a particular way, so we're not able to think beyond those borders. And again, Swamiji says it cannot be happening overnight because such revolutionary concepts, he does not want to apply force by violence. No. It's not that you take the money from the rich and share it to the poor. No, that is not the solution, he says, or convert everyone into one religion. So by violence, you can never bring peace. By slowly changing the mindset of people, that I don't belong to any religion or region or language. About language also, he says, a love for a language is okay, but attachment to any language will be disruptive. Over a period of time, what Maharishi said, so we say mother tongue. So he says, no, language was not, did not produce us. We produce the language. It's human beings who produce the language. So it cannot be our mother. So we can all join together and come to a learning, come to understand, create another language, which can be a link for all the languages, where all the scriptures, literatures can be translated into that. And we can all speak one common language. See the unifying force in everything Swamiji is able to think of. It is mind-boggling for us. We will have reservations because that is what we have been taught so far. We never thought that there could be another solution. But the deeper we think, we will find that this is the only solution, attacking problems, all the problems simultaneously. Women have been treated as second class or third class citizens. But he says, if divinity has produced us, it is through the womanhood. So what type of respect they should have? In many religions, they are not supposed to read certain scriptures. But he says women are already great sacrificers. So they will be able to absorb it even faster. And today, that's what is happening in World Community Service Center. More number of women are coming. So those who have been oppressed, suppressed, that they cannot think of these things, more people are coming in. In politics, science, we find that women are participating in a bigger way. And that is more humanistic also. So in this way, we can go on and on. Again, for all these great philosophies, you don't have to learn some exotic language, very difficult language, or read books which are thousands of years old. He brings it in simple poems, 1800 poems, gems, the highest concepts. Again, a great unifying force that all these things he is able to tell in simple words in the form of poems. Science defined by poems. Economic principles brought out in poems so that you can read and enjoy and also absorb it. So this is exactly Vedadri Maharishi, but he is too close to us in time, so we are not able to appreciate the amount of not the information, total revolution. He doesn't talk about bloody revolution. He says revolution should be evolutionary, but in just a matter of few decades. He does not think that it can be overnight. No, he's slowly guiding all of us. He talks about 50 years, some concepts will be understood, another 100 years for a complete transformation of society. So he says he has done his job for 50 years. Now the baton is given to us to take it forward. So true Vedadrians will be universal in thought, will be universal in action. And if we can do that with infinite patience, and he has produced 15,000 masters, assistant professors and above, and thousands of Arunidhis, Brahmajanis. One single man has done it. That is the unifying force. But at the same time, he has made all of us, he has shared all his knowledge to us. Now it is for us, in whatever station of life we are, we should be able to take that forward. That's exactly what we can do to this force called unifying force, Vedadri Maharshi. The very name, Vedadri means peak of knowledge, is the summit and slowly guiding us, taking us there. In Turyatitam, he used to say that I will take you, don't bother. But we should be conscious of this and start working towards that. As Vivekananda says, arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Uttishtata, Jagrata, Prapyavaran Nivodha. That is a quotation he has taken from a Upanishad. So it's a clarion call by Vedadri Maharshi. Let us live up to his expectation and let us do this Guru Dakshina by being small instruments in world peace. As he said, political leaders, economic leaders, religious leaders cannot do it. They are bound by some constraints are there. We have no constraints at all. So let us all get together and do this. Otherwise, what we saw in Capitol Hill, what we saw in Red Fort will happen again and again. Thanks for this excellent opportunity given to me. Be blessed by the divine.
Well, thank you very much, sir, for the excellent and enlightening speech, sharing your ocean of knowledge. You have nicely explained about all the forces that merge into one force, unifying force used as divisive force. It's a silent language known as Vedatri Maharishi and the further details. Thank you very much, sir. We have some more important announcements now. Boosting immunity is an important preventive measure to stay healthy. Practice Kayakalpa regularly, which helps to improve your immunity system. If not yet learned Kayakalpa, please visit kayakalpayoga.edu.in. Download the Android app. Recommend it to your friends and relatives. It helps you to be mentally positive but not COVID positive. Let's fight against COVID. Online foundation courses and certification courses in English, Tamil, and Kannada are conducted by WCSC Vision for Wisdom. Please visit kundaliniyoga.edu.in for further details. Please refer your friends and relatives to join this course and not all get benefited by practicing our guru's yogic techniques. Our monthly journal, Anboli, is also available in Android app. Download the Anboli app from the Play Store. Get access to the premium content of Swamiji's speeches. Connect with us on Facebook and YouTube at Sky Yoga TV to listen to all past speeches of our professors on various aspects of Sky Yoga. I request, please subscribe to Sky Yoga TV and plan to join our meditation on 28 March 2021 individually and support us to be successful in Guinness World Record. Karma Yoga principles of Vedatriyam suggest donating 1% of income to the good cause of society. Be generous. Donate to the World Community Service Center in the name of Guru Dakshina, the link of which is provided in the Zoom invite and YouTube links, which is sent to you. There are other channels to do that, either through the Anboli app or our official website, vedatri.edu.in, and you get an IT exemption under the section 80G. It's time for us to express our gratitude. Let's all come into the Turiya state. Let's bless Gayatri Madam, who has conducted the wonderful, peaceful meditation. Gayatri Madam, be blessed by the divine. Be blessed by the divine. Be blessed by the divine. Her good health, be blessed. be blessed, be blessed. Her loving family, be blessed, be blessed, be blessed. Her divine service, be blessed, be blessed, be blessed. Let's bless our Professor Balachandran sir. Balachandran sir, be blessed by the divine, be blessed by the divine, be blessed by the divine. His good health, be blessed, be blessed, be blessed. His loving family, be blessed, be blessed, be blessed. His divine service, be blessed, be blessed, be blessed. Thank you much, sir, for your wonderful speech. Please keep enlightening us with such wonderful topics from time to time. We would like to extend our blessings to the Sky Meditators for their kind donations yesterday. Your generous donation will help us to serve the society. By the grace of the divine, may you and your family enjoy good health, long life, enough wealth, prosperity, wisdom, and peace. Be blessed by the divine. We are happy to bring the following online program live from Alia Temple of Consciousness tomorrow. Morning 5:15, 9 center meditation in Tamil. At 6 a.m., we have the exercises in Tamil. At 7 a.m., 9 center meditation in English by Professor Lily from Chennai. At 7 a.m., the speech in Tamil topic Ilaimurai Udairpayirchi, Kalpayirchi, Vinyana Paravil by Professor Dr. Rajshekhar from Alia. Evening program details. At 6 p.m., we have the Nityananda meditation in Tamil. At 6:30 p.m., we have a speech in Tamil, Ananda Anubhavam by Professor Dhanashekhar from Madurai. English program details. 8 p.m., Turiya meditation by Gayatri Madam, followed by English speech by Senior Professor Sarma Selvaraj from Chennai. And the topic is on social welfare. Please share the program invite with your friends and relatives. Let everyone take part in this spiritual journey and get benefited. We thank our beloved President, Arunidhi Padma Shri S.K. Mailanandam sir for his leadership, continuous support and guidance. Looking forward to see you all tomorrow. Till then, stay safe and practice our Kundalini Yoga. This is Shashi Prasad from Alia, World Community Service Center IT team. Be blessed by the divine. Let us now conclude the session with the world blessing. May the world be blessed with plenty of rain. The farmers work to produce an abundance of grain. Let practitioners of all prosper, flourish and grow, and culture progress through the need to share and grow. Let the rulers be beyond feelings of anger or fear, illiteracy, poverty, and all evils made to disappear. Let the true lamp of knowledge burn steady and light. Our sense of duty guide us along pathways always right. Be blessed by the divine. Be blessed by the divine. Be blessed by the divine. Good night, everybody. Walha Valamuda.